Welcome to the Car Guys and welcome to the Audi RS6. Is this the fastest, most capable, most sure-footed, most luxurious sport wagon that you can buy? Now, if you remember, this car I bought for the Portugal road trip challenge so that Jason could drive it all the way down to Portugal. He needed something large, fast, stable, and with a little bit of economy in mind. That bit I ignored. That's why this car was purchased and added to the Car Guys garage. This is the first generation C7 RS6, so it's a 2013 car. This was actually a dealer demo car. So it's fully loaded, it's got all the toys, and I'm kind of hoping that as it was a main dealer demo car, that it was properly run in. The run-in period for an RS6 is absolutely crucial. If you don't do that properly, it can lead to endless engine problems later on in life. It's done now 42,000 miles. It had done about 35,000 when I bought it. It's my first ever Audi, so it's giving me full access to the Audi Sport experience, which in terms of performance, as you can imagine, is ridiculous, but it's not been without its negative points. As competent and as stunning as this car is to drive, essentially what we've got here is an estate car that can go as fast as a Ferrari. It can out-handle, it can out-grip, it can out-corner, and it can out-drag a Ferrari. And that, by any yardstick, is incredible. So what's been wrong with this car since I've owned it? Well, the brakes was the first thing, but then I knew that the previous owner said that the brakes were 90% worn and would need replacing. However, what I didn't expect was the fact that when trying to remove the brakes, the official Audi dealer in Poole could not get off the calipers in order to replace the brakes, discs and pads. So I had to have new calipers as well. And that led to a frankly painful bill of 4,000 quid. It's more than I expected, but actually more than the 4,000 quid, it actually took them a month to sort it out. And do you know what was even more funny? The week I got it back, they then contacted me to say, oh, we've noticed it needs a new MOT, would you like us to do that? You've just had it for a month. Do the MOT while you've got it, sat there for a month. So some headline figures then on the RS6. 0 to 60, wait for it, 3.9 seconds. 3.9 seconds for an estate car, a big estate car. That is incredible. This thing shifts. It shifts because it's got a 4-litre V8 engine with 2 turbos on it. When you put your foot down on the accelerator, it sounds like a Messerschmitt. You ready? Here we go. Oh. Now, not only does it go, but it makes a hell of a noise. A lovely, deep, propeller-like noise, which is very pleasing. Let's listen to that noise again, shall we? We'll drop it down into sport suspension. We'll drop down into a manual. I'll bring the gear down to 3rd gear. And let's hear what that engine sounds like from in here. Oh. It really is a World War II soundtrack, this one. I love it. It's got 553 brake horsepower. Now, you know, in I think 2015 they brought out the performance edition of this car, and that took it up to almost 600 brake horsepower. So probably if you were buying one of these cars, I guess the performance one is the one to have. Weighs 1950 kilograms, which is heavy, but not heavy when you look at the size of the car and you look at the profile and what it's meant to do. You know, it's an estate car, it's nearly 5 meters long. This is a big old thing. It's got a four-wheel drive system on it. So all these things, huge, big, heavy leather seats. You've got all the toys. 1950s, actually not too bad for that. It has 516 foot-pounds of torque, which is why you get such a big shove in your back when you put your foot down. It also means it's good for towing things. And it's electronically limited to 155 miles an hour. Despite all of that incredible performance, the fuel economy is surprisingly good. Allegedly, you get 28 to 29 miles to gallon in this car. And I say allegedly because obviously I don't do that. But the reason why you're able to get those sort of pretty high 20s MPG figures is because number one, stop-start technology. Yeah. And number two, it's one of those cars that can shut off 4 of the cylinders, so 1/2 of the bank, and you can run on just 4 cylinders instead of the full V8. So what's it like to be in an Audi RS6? Well, in this one, it's a pretty cool place to be. I've got swathes of carbon fibre all around me. I was given an Audi A6, the Bogo standard version of this, as a courtesy car whilst this was in having its brakes done. And it was interesting to see that the basic structure was very similar, but the big difference was the carbon, was the fit, the polish, those extra little touches that makes it feel like you're in a luxury car. This one has plush, beautiful seats with their bizarre hexagonal pattern. It's got full leather. There's certainly an awful lot of Technic in this Vorsprung Dirk Technic. The thing you notice more than anything in an RS6 is how stable it feels on the road. This thing is rock solid. The four-wheel drive, the stance of the thing, the wheelbase, the size of the tyres, the weightiness of the steering, all combine to make it feel like it's hewn from granite and stuck to the ground with a super magnet. You are never really in doubt that you're going to make the corner. You never feel like you're going to lose traction. Regardless of the road surface, it always feels like it will get you through and home safely. And that's got to be one of the big pluses of this vehicle. It doesn't matter what the road conditions are, what the weather's like, an Audi RS6 will be able to cope with it. It will get you there. It will get you out of trouble. Everything is tough. All the controls feel like Tonka toy controls. They're all nice, firm, positive action. They all require a decent shove. There's no delicate, touchy things. The steering wheel, it feels like you're turning a super tanker. It doesn't really ever lighten up like many cars where it's heavy at low speeds and then lightens. This thing is always very, very heavy. To my left here on the controls, we've got the big old golf ball-esque gear stick. That allows us to flick between the drive and sport modes. I quite like the way that you just tap back that gear stick. So you're in normal driving mode, normal dynamic mode, and then you flick it back and it changes to sport. So suddenly all the gear ratios are now in sport. You've got improved engine response, you've got more noise. But it's a lovely little action that where you just go bang, there we are, straight in there. And away we go. Something like this with so much tech in it means that it's got to have lots of buttons. Where thou'st haveth tech, thou haveth lots of buttons. Aficionados of 1980s hi-fi systems will love the RS6, not only because the interior does look like something from Kenwood, but there's so many buttons, so many different types of buttons. It's all against black. This looks like the stereo that I got when I was 18 years old. I've got the standard Audi controls for all the entertainment interface screen, which opens up from the dashboard when you turn on the car. It feels and sounds a little bit flimsy, and to be honest, I like to put it away as often as possible because I just don't like having this big sort of tablet thing stuck on a dashboard in front of me. Makes me feel like I'm in a Tesla, makes me feel like I've got an aftermarket Sangyok tablet gaffer taped to the dashboard. All this center console is essentially controlling the entertainment system. I don't find it that great a system. I also literally hate the fact if I turn the knob clockwise, i.e. to the right, I want the menu to go to the right. I don't want it to go to the left, but it doesn't. That drives me bonkers. One thing that I do love about the entertainment screen is the way that it folds down and then back into the dashboard. To me, is exactly the same as the Navi computer on Luke Skywalker's X-Wing fighter. So you remember that bit where he's going down the trench and he's coming towards the thermal exhaust port and he's about to fire the photon torpedoes, and then Ben Kenobi pops in and says, "Use the Force, Luke.
Use the Force, Luke."
And he turns off the targeting computer in order to do it using the Force. It's just like that. I love it. It's very, very similar action. We've got an 8-speed gearbox. It is very smooth. The changes between gears are pretty much seamless, and you do not get the violent kickdown that you get in the Lamborghini Performante. It does not drop 4 gears, it drops 2 gears, which is what it's supposed to do. From the moment I've started driving it, I have never once wanted to use the paddles or the sequential shifter off of the gear stick. And I have no idea why that is. I think it's because it's 8 gears, and let's face it, who can be bothered to change 8 gears? But I think it does its job so well and so unobtrusively that I don't think you ever feel you need to. I don't think it feels like you can do it better than the car already does it. It could also be the fact that the steering is so flipping heavy and the car is so sure-footed and so fast that I'm generally hanging on for dear life rather than actually driving this car. It's not a question of grabbing this car by the scruff of the neck. It is a question of holding on whilst it rockets towards the horizon. So things I don't like about the Audi RS6? Well, it's a bit of an anemic, lifeless feeling car. If you're looking for sprightly handling and fizz, fingertippy steering wheel type stuff, do not look here. I find the steering far too heavy and far too dead. It's just very, very fast and very sure-footed, but it's not exciting in a handling sense. The acceleration is all very well, but you can get acceleration from a drag racer or from a Tesla. I think as special as it is in here, it's perhaps not as special as it could be, because it is very similar to all other Audi A6s. I hate the way that when you open the door, it does the most annoying klaxony, beepy, alarmy thing to tell you, oh, you really should have the ignition off. The tyre pressure calibration system is so sensitive that even a fraction of a bar of pressure leads to a tyre inflation symbol warning, despite the fact that it says that it delivers 28-29 miles to the gallon. It feels like I'm constantly filling up this car with petrol. 60 quid in an RS6 seems to last approximately 10 minutes. How about this for a little niggle as well? When you plug in your iPhone or smartphone to the entertainment system, for some reason it always defaults to Woody Allen, and I don't know why, which is really frustrating when you're hopping in and out of the car and you just stick your phone in. Maybe you want to continue listening to a podcast, bit of Spike's car radio, shout out to Spike, but for some reason I plug it in, ladies and gentlemen, Woody Allen, every time, and I've got to go through and physically override it. Keyless start system. It seems odd that you have one technology which saves you the hassle of putting the key somewhere to start it, but yet you've got to have the key out to unlock the car anyway. So you've got it in your hand. It's not like you can leave it in a jacket, just get in and off you go. You have to physically rummage around, find the key to open the car. I've still got it in my hand. I get in the car and then for some reason it says, oh, tell you what, no need to put that key anywhere, you can just start it with a button. Why? I've got the key anyway. It's no hassle. I can put it in. It's not a problem, mate. I can do it. What do I like about the car? I like its all-round ability. I love the speed, the sheer pace of it. I love the fact that it feels stuck to the road and that you are never in doubt that you've got traction. I like the carbon fibre. I like the luxuriness of the interior in terms of the seats. I love the amount that you can put in the back. I like the fact that it's got a motorised cover that comes back to cover what you've got in the boot so that no one can look in and nick it. But I like the dials. They are analog. They're very, very clear. What you've got here is a large, imperious German Uber Sport wagon, which has enough space to put as much luggage as you can possibly imagine. You can seat 4 adults in supreme comfort, and you can do 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds. And you can do 29 miles to the gallon. It's incredible when you think about it. I think it's a testament to the engineers at Audi that you can make something this accomplished. It's got the speed, it's got the sure-footedness, it's got the space, it's got the comfort. If you want it, it's got the economy. Is this one of the great all-rounders? Is this one of the best all-round cars that money can buy? But remember, we've also got in 2019 a new RS6 coming as well. So what will be interesting is how much they've messed around with the formula. Will it ruin the RS6 formula? It could be that the C8 model isn't as good as this one, in which case this one might become a bit more of a classic, but perhaps that's wishful thinking. So as you can see, the RS6 is a very mean and purposeful looking car. When you turn it off, the fans come on pretty loudly to cool down the whole engine, cool down those turbos, and it lasts for ages. It's a little bit disconcerting at first, but you get used to it. Let's just listen to that. Big old industrial sounding air conditioning units. It's enormous. I mean, it is a big long car. It's just under 5 meters long. Also, just look how aggressive the front grille is on this. Big RS6 badges. You don't want to meet this on a dark night, do you, eh? Thanks for watching the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed this look at the Audi RS6 Avant. Do you think it's one of the greatest all-round cars that money can buy? If you like what we're doing on the channel, please subscribe, leave likes and comments. We really do appreciate it. We do look at every single one and we respond to as many as we can. We'll be back for more videos next week.